Let's talk about something most of us have felt, but maybe haven't taken as seriously as we should: loneliness. We tend to think of it as just a sad feeling, right? But what we're going to unpack today is how it's actually a huge and often silent threat to our physical health.
So first things first, we've got to get something straight. We throw the words alone and lonely around like they're the same thing. They're not even close. One is a fact and the other is a feeling.
And this is the key difference. Social isolation? That's objective. You can literally count how many friends someone has or how often they leave the house. It's measurable. But loneliness, that's totally subjective. It's that deep, painful feeling of being disconnected. You can be in the middle of a party, surrounded by people, and still feel incredibly lonely. Getting this distinction is absolutely crucial for everything that follows.
Okay, so now that we've separated those two ideas, let's dive into what's happening inside our bodies. Because loneliness isn't just some vague feeling in your head. Oh no, it's a very real, very physical alarm signal.
Think about it like this. Go way back. For our ancient ancestors, being part of a tribe wasn't a lifestyle choice, it was a matter of life and death. So, evolution gave us this thing called loneliness. It's basically social pain. It's an alarm. Just like hunger tells you to eat or thirst tells you to drink, loneliness is your body screaming, "Hey, go find your people."
And that alarm is a brilliant survival tool when it works properly. But what happens when that alarm just goes off and off and off and never stops ringing? That's what we call chronic loneliness, and it puts the body under an incredible amount of stress, day in and day out. And the danger here is, well, it's staggering. A huge study back in 2010 found that being chronically lonely carries a mortality risk that's on par with smoking 15 cigarettes every single day. Let that sink in. It's more dangerous to your health than obesity. This isn't just about feeling sad. This is a legitimate, life-threatening condition. You see, that constant stress just wears everything down. It's directly linked to things like heart disease and high blood pressure. It can mess with your immune system, it's tied to depression, and now research is uncovering a really terrifying link to dementia and cognitive decline.
And this connection to our brain health is where things get really alarming. We're starting to see just how critical social connection is for keeping our minds sharp.
Which brings us to this massive 20-year study from the Journal of Prevention of Alzheimer's Disease. Researchers tracked thousands and thousands of older adults for 2 decades, trying to figure out the real-world impact that social connection, or the lack of it, has on the brain over time.
So, what did they find? Well, at first, the results seemed to make perfect sense. They found that being objectively isolated and feeling subjectively lonely were both major risk factors on their own. Each one independently was tied to a faster decline in brain function and a higher chance of getting diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
But this is where the study takes a hard left turn into totally unexpected territory. When the scientists started to slice the data in different ways, they stumbled upon a paradox, something that pretty much turns our whole understanding of this issue upside down.
I mean, if I asked you who's in the most danger, your gut reaction would be pretty obvious, right? It's got to be the people who are dealing with both problems, the ones who are physically alone and feel the intense pain of loneliness. That seems like a no-brainer. But that's not what the data showed at all.
Just look at this. This is wild. The group that showed the fastest rate of cognitive decline, almost 30% faster, was the group that was socially isolated but said they didn't feel lonely. Let me say that again. The people who were objectively alone but seemed totally fine with it were the most vulnerable. It's a complete paradox.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The researchers themselves called it out right in their conclusion. The people who are cut off from society but report being content, they're the ones in the greatest danger when it comes to their brain health.
So, the big question is, why? How on earth is this possible? Why would not feeling that painful sense of loneliness actually put you at a higher risk? It makes absolutely no sense on the surface.
Well, the answer seems to go right back to that idea we started with, the idea of loneliness being the body's alarm system. And when you think about it that way, the paradox starts to become terrifyingly clear.
So here's the leading theory. That feeling of loneliness, that social pain, is the alarm bell that motivates you to do something about your situation, to call a friend, to join a club, to reconnect. But for that group that was isolated but not lonely, the alarm was silent. They were experiencing all the physical stress of being isolated, but without that painful feeling pushing them to fix the problem. Their brains were just taking the damage without any protective drive to seek help.
And the implications of this are just massive. It means we can't just focus on helping people who say they feel lonely. We have to find ways to identify and reach out to people who are objectively, factually isolated, even if they insist they're perfectly happy.
It means measuring someone's actual social connections might be even more important than asking them how they feel.
And that's really the big, powerful question this research leaves us with. For so long, we've thought of loneliness as the enemy. But what if, for our long-term brain health, the real danger isn't the presence of that painful alarm, but its absence when we need it most? The real risk might just be the silence.